Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a retrospective type of video where we are looking at an older episode of the Walking Dead television series from today's perspective. This one will be, as I think is a good idea for Season 6, a retrospective on the Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 12, one of my favorite episodes ever, Clear. Okay, so as promised, I decided I would go ahead and do this video for you guys where we take another look at Clear because, of course, The Walking Dead Season 6, one of the core main themes is going to be Rick, Morgan, how they've changed and how they sort of get along together and how they see things, which is very exciting because we don't really know where they're going to be at. And even in Clear, upon watching it again, obviously, you know, some things over the years you don't quite remember that well. They were fighting in Clear as well too. You know, Morgan did stab Rick, and he still has the scar from that endeavor when he didn't know that it was actually Rick, and he wasn't sure that he was seeing what he was actually seeing. So all the way back from The Walking Dead Season 3, one of my absolute favorite seasons. And if you guys want to see some other retrospective videos, some throwbacks, right in the comments below at the end of this after you're done watching this. And, you know, I can go ahead and oblige because I love watching The Walking Dead. I can watch it. Clear is one of the episodes I have seen the most amount of times of any episode of The Walking Dead. I really feel like it is everything that makes The Walking Dead television series so great. It just brings in all the different aspects of The Walking Dead into one single episode that could stand by itself at kind of any point in time prior to Season 5, really, they could have put it in. And it really elevated Season 3 up until Season 5 is my favorite season. A lot of that has to do with this episode being in there, which we didn't really necessarily need, but it just really like added a lot to the season for me to kind of pick it up, to elevate it. So, my favorite thing about this episode would have to be the psychology that they use for Morgan, where they put him at in terms of time. And I can't wait to see some flashback episodes, or at least one flashback episode or scenes on what happened to Morgan. So people talking about in the comments they would really like to see the death of Morgan's son, Dwayne, with his wife, just as he describes it in Clear. And I personally think that would be like the perfect way to do like an intro for an episode, would be to show that. If they could get the actor and the actress back from earlier on in the series, I don't know if they could. That's a while ago now, so they might look a bit older, but I'm sure they can figure it out. Zombies don't really age that much because you put on their mask and they look the same, right, after they get all that on there. So here's to hoping, fingers crossed, that we will see that. So there was so many moments when I watched Clear again just now. There was like so many profound things that I just wanted to touch on and talk about. So I tried to write down as many as I could, but it's pretty hard. I find the state that we find Morgan in to just be very interesting. It's a very interesting state that he is at this point in The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 12. And by the way, spoiler warning, you know, even though it's like, I did my review for this as soon as it aired, you know, over 2 years ago now, Season 3, we're done Season 5, so over 2 years. And March 2013, yeah. And I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10, this episode. And I stand behind that even to this day. It is a damn perfect episode. And some people didn't like it because it's kind of an offshot from where they were at in Season 3. But I found that to be also very strange because if you like The Walking Dead from the beginning, it was something you always wondered, what happened to Morgan? What's going on with Morgan? And in this one, we get to see it. And it also makes sense that they fit it in because they were pretty low on ammo. They've been low on ammo forever, you know. Because obviously having to kill off zombies all the time. But this one I just thought was, you know, man, I'm so glad they actually made this episode and that we're seeing Morgan come back into the series again, and he's not just a kind of character that's kind of left out there and never came back, so to speak, which, you know, a lot of shows do that. They'll have offshoot characters and you just never see them or hear from them again. But The Walking Dead, they take it so seriously, and they create such a great universe that you do get to kind of see. There's only a few characters that we saw at some point in the series that we don't know what happened to them. Morales, man. People still asking, Trev, what do you think? Do you think we'll see? I don't think we'll see. The characters, that character's not that important. But Morgan is definitely important, and I do really like to see what's happened with him. So the clip in the trailer at the beginning of the Walking Dead Season 6 trailer where that you have Rick and he's running and he's talking to Morgan, I geeked out when I actually saw the scene of when he actually says it. It's kind of like the last thing that Rick says to Morgan before Rick kind of leaves when they're discussing things, and he kind of goes off and he basically tells him that you can come back from this, right? So again, they use the kind of the concept of too far gone, which is a really interesting concept. You can come back, you have zombies, they die, they come back, and kind of the more than, maybe even more than double meaning, where, you have characters in a zombie apocalypse. In order to survive, they have to do things that they would never ever want to do. They may have to kill their best friend, or they may have to put down their zombie spouse, or they may have to do all this crazy shit that just changes them totally. And then even in season 4, as we saw the Irish lady who Rick meets, that she what does she say about coming back from? You don't get to come back from the things you do, right? So too far gone. The episode and the governor and all that later on. So it's a concept that is constantly used. And now we're seeing in season 6 Rick at a state where he's kind of too far gone, and he's not able to kind of get along with the others that are there after what he's seen. Maybe Morgan could kind of bring him back a bit, because that was the same thing that Rick had told him before he left, the last thing. And probably that key part right there is what made Morgan want to seek out Rick and find him again, is because he actually was able to come back from what happened to him, losing his wife and his son, and he was not too far gone. And Rick letting him know there has to be more to life than just by yourself, surviving, stealing from others, taking everything other people have in terms of weapons, food, resources, and just existing, right? There's got to be more than just existing to life. And man, I love that so much. So it makes perfect sense that Morgan would, after a while, later on decide, you know what, Rick is right, after he's thought about it for a while, and that there does have to be more to life than just existing, and decide to go after Rick, or maybe when he eventually ran out of food or something, decided to leave. Because really, I mean, all he was doing there was in this King County by himself, and he had the whole place booby-trapped up, which was amazing. I just loved the way they did everything. They did such careful, planning of everything, away with you, the writing and everything like that. Just awesome. Even love seeing that in the season 5 intros and that. So he decides to kind of go off and find Rick, and then we see him again in season 5, and then now in season 6 he's actually found Rick. But it looks like obviously he's very disappointed, because the things Rick had told him, Rick has become a hypocrite in a lot of ways. Or, well, kind of. I mean, it's kind of like when Carl tells Morgan at the end that he had to shoot him, and asks Morgan, he says, I'm sorry, but I had to, right? And then Morgan tells him, don't ever be sorry. So I'm interested to find out more about Morgan's psychology now, his philosophy on life now in season 6. Compared to where he was at this point in time. But there's just so many scenes in this, and the dialogue is just so amazing. You hear Morgan and Rick, they're speaking back and forth, and you just get to hear these two points of view, and it's like 3 seasons of a story arc for that character, even just with that conversation, are caught up. Like, you understand pretty much everything that's probably happened to him. You can fill in the gaps with your imagination for what happened to Morgan, and it's just absolutely amazing. So Rick kind of wakes him up when he shows him the radio, because prior to that, the walkie-talkie, prior to that, Morgan didn't know that it was actually Rick that he was talking to. It seems to me, and this is something I believe that does happen, is after, we saw this with Rick too, they also use the concept of after serious trauma, you may have a character, they may hallucinate, they may, I see things, Rick says at the end before they head back, that, this whole kind of idea, this whole kind of thing. And you would think from Morgan's perspective, he's lost his son, he's lost his wife, he's lost everybody he cares about, he's lost everything, and he's had to be alone all this time with nobody to support him, nobody to talk to, nothing. He has probably been hallucinating about as much as you can imagine, so to the point where, other survivors may look like people he once knew, and he may not even realize that they're totally not, or, the whole idea of people have even talked about the whisperers and wearing dead people's faces in this with regards to what Morgan says. I don't think that's what the meaning was. I think the meaning was that he... even though it could be, there's no way to say for sure it's not, but that would be a cool thing to see if they threw that in there with a flashback, wouldn't it? To see some of the whispers or something, that'd be wicked. And I would like it if they did that, but I'm pretty sure what it was is that he was hallucinating, and he was not kind of himself. He didn't really know what was going on, and when he saw Rick, he didn't, longer hair and stuff, looks a lot different, and didn't even really realize that was Rick, or may have saw him but thought he was hallucinating, or didn't know what was going on, or somebody else, this kind of thing, out of his kind of agony of just being alone all the time for however long that was. with no one and having to fight desperately to survive. So, oh man, such great acting in this one, and that's one of the things that make it stand up even to this day as an episode you can watch over and over again, because especially Lenny James, you know, Andrew Lincoln's acting is always on point. He's always a great actor, but Lenny James in this one just steals the show. I mean, he's crying when he's delivering his lines, and he's just, man, he's totally into it, and just absolutely amazing, man. Just some of the best acting we've ever seen in The Walking Dead. I'd say right up there with, you know, John Bernthal as Shane and his kind of transformation in that. Probably even better, to be honest with you. Awesome stuff. So, wow. So you see all the writing on the wall, and I want to give my thoughts on the clear idea. So you see it, he's got clear on the wall a bunch of times, and he's got, you know, Rick's house burnt out and different things like this all around. High ground and strategy of why he goes up top, and kind of, I would say, keeping himself occupied because he really has nothing going on. And it kind of comes back to the whole philosophy about life and about what human beings and our purpose and what we feel the need to do and what makes us happy. And even though obviously Morgan is not happy, he still finds work. So he views it, this is the way I see it as his philosophy at this current time, after I've seen the episode a bunch and gotten to know the character really well, and people as well too, and happiness. People, regardless of your religious beliefs, regardless of, you know, any kind of people watch the channel from all different walks of life. But one thing I have read in a lot of different you know, philosophies, some study I've done, things like that, is that people are meant to do. You know, if you get somebody that's just by themselves there, just sitting there with no purpose, nothing going on, you know, it goes against every part of being a human being to just do nothing, to just exist, to just have nothing to work towards, have no purpose. And that's why you will see people that, if you have somebody that becomes, like, let's say, billionaires and stuff, and they still choose to work, or they still choose to do, you know, charitable things or things like this, they still choose to do things even though they never have to do anything. And what they find is people that do get to that kind of a status and just have basically, they don't need to work, but they do anyway, because, you know, the whole purpose of, or I guess my idea of a human being is that we are creatures of action. We need to do something. And even like the book I've been reading recently, Civilization and Its Discontents, Freud, this is a good one. I'd recommend this for anybody who wants to know about happiness. But the two things he says that you should get right, happiness is about balance in your life, but the two things for sure you want to get right, he says, are you know, work, so whatever you do, your purpose, your work, and love. So those two things. So I view it this way, as Morgan's obsession, or kind of OCD, maybe not really, kind of an OCD, to clear, that's his work. You know, that's what he finds a purpose in. Even though he's just sitting there by himself and there's no one else around, there's nobody to protect, there's nobody to, you know, share a life with, he finds purpose in clearing, or in you know, destroying zombies, clearing it out, keeping the area clean. This is kind of an OCD thing, I suppose. And that's his work. So that gives him some kind of reason to go on, is to clear. And I think he kind of took that because, of course, his wife was still alive. He couldn't do it. Rick gave him the gun, and he couldn't put her down, the rifle. And as a result, I believe at that time, he thinks that the world or God or whatever, the universe, punished him because he didn't clear. So because he didn't clear his wife, kill his wife and remove, right, clear, his son was taken from him as well too, right? Because regular zombies, his son could run away, he could shoot, whatever. But when it came to seeing his mom, he was not able to put her down, or he was frozen. You know, you ever get the feeling he's just frozen, you can't move, you know? So I think I'm a big fan of psychology, philosophy, things like that. And I just really love that idea, that philosophy, that they put this much thought and care into the character rather than him just being some kind of offshot, whatever, you know, whatever he's thinking, whatever he's feeling is whatever it is. So I really like that. I really like the whole clear concept, and that you can see kind of that learned, you know, purpose, that purpose he's found, because he blames himself for his son's death, because he refused to clear, because he refused to kill his wife. He couldn't do it. He was too selfish. and neither could Dwayne. Dwayne couldn't do it either. So amazing stuff, man. So we've got the Morgan and the Rick fight, all kinds of amazing dialogue that has other, I can't get into everything because there's so many things that would just take forever, but there's just so many awesome lines between the two of Rick and Morgan, and man, it's just one of those episodes they put like the most care into of anything. And like I said, it makes you think about life, makes you think about purpose, makes you think about what would really make you happy or not. A lot of people think if they just do whatever they want, maybe, I don't know, let's say you won the lottery or something, and you just decide you're just going to do whatever the hell you want without any kind of purpose in your life. And I think what you'll find if you research that is you'll find most people who think that's what they want, once they get it, are miserable because they have no purpose, they have no meaning, they have nothing to do, human being to do, right? Action. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on Clear. It's just an amazing episode overall. I love to watch it. The environment design is great, the booby traps and everything. Even so much care is to the guy on the way when they're driving to make it even more interesting rather than just seeing them drive. They see him kind of run up and try to flag him down, and they just ignore him at this point. And then on the way back, they see his stuff, and he's, fortunately, he's no longer there. He has been killed in the process of just them coming and going. So, man, absolutely amazing episode. Definitely one that I wanted to kind of give my updated thoughts on, at this point in time, and Morgan's philosophy. So I'm interested to see as well, too, did he run into some characters on the way? Did he decide? Another thing that he says, for example, just before we wrap up here, is he talks about the good people, the bad people, and then the weaker people. Weaker people inheriting the earth, and Rick kind of looks at him like, it's crazy. He's not okay. So, yeah, the good people die, the bad people do too, and the weaker people, we have inherited the earth. So what does he mean by that? I think what he means, at least my interpretation of it, is that if you're try to be a good person, then bad people will take advantage of you. If you try to be a bad person and take from others like the governor, eventually somebody will kill you or fight back against you, or you will die yourself due to what you're doing. But if you're a weak person and you kind of hide, or you kind of avoid, or you run, that might be the best strategy to survive in the zombie apocalypse, because all the bad people and the good people will probably end up killing each other off, or the bad people will kill other bad people, and this is kind of how it will most likely go. But the weaker people that are running, that are hiding, that are doing that, they're the ones that a lot of times, at least in his philosophy, will survive out in the long run. Interesting, really, really interesting stuff, and I absolutely love the episode, even to the point where you got Carl, and I wonder if he still has the picture. He gets the picture of Lori and Rick and himself there, and I wonder if he still has it. I think when they left the prison, when they lost the prison, he would have lost it, I would think. Yeah, because him and Rick, they just went off with nothing, basically. So probably destroyed, or maybe somewhere out there in the prison or something, but we'll probably never see or hear of it again. Just kind of a cool thing. Definitely makes sense that he would want to get a picture to show Judith what her mom looked like, and who she was. So, man, awesome stuff. Really enjoyed watching the episode again. I think if you guys haven't watched it in a couple years, and you have it, or you don't, you can find it online or something. Remember, never install anything online. That's the trick. And yeah, definitely check it out. Again, I think before watching Season 6, you will enjoy it, because it'll set you up right as a preview to the start of Season 6. And as promised, I wanted to do this video for you guys, to kind of give my updated thoughts on where Morgan was there, and kind of how the roles have switched now. Rick is in the opposite perspective. He behaves in the way Morgan did in Season 3, right? And now Morgan behaves the way Rick did in Season 3, at least to maybe even more so, because Morgan would have stopped and saved the guy on the road, right? And Rick didn't do that. So, yeah, I can't wait to see the flashbacks that they're going to bring us for Season 6. If they do have some for Morgan, those are kind of my most anticipated part. And, yeah, Clear is an amazing, amazing episode, I think. It's one of the best in the entire series. One of my favorites overall. I ranked it as number 6 of one of the best episodes, top 10 best episodes ever. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to hear my top 10 favorite, or which episodes I think are the best in the Walking Dead television series. It's number 6 for me right now. It'll change in the future, but it's definitely one of the best ever, for sure. Oh, man, such a good episode. So let me know what you guys think about all that. Write your kind of comments below on the psychology of Morgan, what you think about his obsession at that time to Clear, his perspective on the world, and kind of how you feel about his behavior, and whether or not you think it makes sense. I think it makes perfect sense for a character in his situation to behave the way he does. So if you guys like the video, please thumb it up below. If you want to see another throwback, right in the comments below, I could do Too Far Gone, I guess. If you want to see that next, maybe next Sunday or something. Maybe I could even do one a week. It depends on what you guys want. If you guys see value, you want it, you want me to do the videos and talk with you guys about some of the older episodes, since there's no new Walking Dead on, I can do it. Favorite, like, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, you can go ahead and subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one, guys. See you again really soon. As always, it's Trev, saying peace.